Let's revisit our lead story, the DPRK Congress that's going to be taking place in Pyongyang. It's kicking off shortly. We want to bring in now Sung-Yoon Lee. He is a scholar of Korean and East Asian studies and teaches at the Fletcher School of Tufts University. Thanks so much for joining us. Is there any way at all to predict what we can expect from this Congress, do you think?
Well, this year marks year 5 of Kim Jong-un's rule. This is simply the most important political event in his 4.5 years in power. So we can expect a lot of cultish adoration. It's really sort of a coronation for Kim. In 2012, Kim presided over an important political event, the 100th anniversary of the birth of his grandfather, the founder. But I would say this is all about Kim. This is all about Kim with nuclear weapons armed with long-range missiles. So there'll be a lot of bluster, a lot of self-congratulations, and a lot of subservience, submission to Kim by the people. And this is a big show because there are a lot of foreign journalists in attendance as well. And I would not be surprised if Kim were to mark this big event with another provocation.
It's interesting, though, you have so many people trying to analyze this, look at the tea leaves. The one thing that seems to be certain is it's going to last about 4 or 5 days. Some analysts say it could signal good news for the West and the citizens of the country, perhaps a shift from military spending to a focus on the economy and reconciliation. Do you think that's likely?
That's highly unlikely. These communist, pan-communist party Congress events during the Cold War were major political events. One thinks of the iconic, the 20th Congress of the Soviet Union, the Communist Party of the Soviet Union in February 1956, Khrushchev's de-Stalinization speech, or 30 years later, Gorbachev talking about perestroika, economic reform. In the past, yes, indeed, these were events, occasions for launching new measures in contravention of old measures. In the case of North Korea, over the past 7 decades, really it's been a hyper-militarized society, ruling its people through extreme fear, control, and so forth. So I very much doubt any kind of economic reform measures will be implemented following this event.
It's interesting. I was reading that the Congress is supposed to meet every 5 years, but there have only been 7 of these in 70 years. It's kind of interesting. How significant would you say it is in that respect that it's not held all that often?
Well, the last one in North Korea was held in 1980. That's before Kim Jong-un was born. And I guess the end of the Cold War, the dissolution of the Soviet Empire, really kind of sucked the air out of these events. Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father, who presided over the nation between 1994 and until his death in 2011, he never convened any of these events. Of course, he had that unprecedented famine to deal with in the mid-90s as soon as he came into power. So it's understandable that Kim Jong-il did not convene a party Congress, but this really marks the beginning, the coronation of Kim Jong-un as the de facto de jure leader who is armed with nuclear weapons. And that is really his only legacy to speak of, his ability to be a political factor in the region by exporting insecurity and threat.
Talk to me about the struggles of this country. I mean, you mentioned famine before. We know economically there's pretty much a stranglehold, sanctions coming from around the world, the relationship with its neighbor China strained. Does it feel boxed in? What are the conditions on the ground like for the people who live there?
Well, according to a landmark 2014 UN study on human rights in North Korea, the degree, the scale, nature of human rights violations in North Korea is, quote, without parallel in the contemporary world, end of quote. So it's an extremely repressive regime. I think most people agree that North Korea is the most advanced, most perfected totalitarian system the world has ever seen. So it's unlikely that the conditions of life in North Korea will be enhanced, will improve anytime soon. And it's more than likely that North Korea will march down on its nuclear path, conduct more nuclear tests, conduct more long-range missile tests, and remind the world that it is a factor, a power to be reckoned with.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.